Sony PlayStation 2 is widely considered to be the best-selling video game console in history. It was released at the turn of the century in 2000 and competed with the Sega Dreamcast, Microsoft Xbox, and Nintendo GameCube in the sixth generation of console gaming. The PlayStation 2 originally sold for a price of $299 in the United States and had a very successful launch. The console, combined with games and accessories, were able to make Sony $250 million on just launch day, beating the Dreamcast launch day sales by about $150 million. In fact, the console was so popular on launch day that it caused manufacturing delays, making some people who didn't want to wait for new shipments turn to sites like eBay, where they paid over $1,000 for a PS2 console. Taking a look at the console itself, we can see that the PlayStation 2 can be set up in two different ways. There are 4 rubber feet on 2 different areas of the system to allow for both horizontal and vertical placement. On the top of the console, or on the side if you have it standing up, we see the PlayStation 2 text with the PS2 logo above it. Moving to the back, we have a power switch, power port, digital out port, and an AV multi-out port. To the left of these ports, we have the PlayStation 2 expansion bay, which was also known as the BB unit in Japan. This expansion bay was used for installing add-ons such as the PlayStation 2 network adapter to the system. The network adapter added either an RJ45 port for dial-up internet or an Ethernet port for broadband internet. This adapter allowed players to connect to Sony's internet service for the PlayStation 2 and play games that included online functionality. Unlike online services such as Xbox Live, Sony does not charge any subscription fees for the PlayStation 2 online service, and server operation and management is handled not by Sony but by the developer of the actual game. To this day, there are still 80 titles that work over the PS2 network adapter. Sony also sold a hard drive for the PlayStation 2, which connected to the same expansion bay. The hard drive was used by games to store data and to reduce loading times from the game disc. The PS2 hard drive actually required the networking adapter to function and to receive power, so a fully set up hard drive and network adapter would end up looking something like this. Taking a look at the front of the console, we see 2 memory card slots, 2 controller slots, 2 USB ports, which were used to add accessories to the system, and an S400 port. This port allows for 2 PS2 systems to connect to each other and play games locally with more players. It was a much cheaper option than buying network adapters for both systems. Moving to the right, we see the disk drive as well as both power and eject buttons. The PlayStation 2 is not only capable of playing PS2 and original PlayStation games, but it could also be used as a DVD player, and this was also one of the major selling points of the console. Taking a look at the controller for the PlayStation 2, we see that it shares a similar design language to the original PlayStation controller. This time around, however, the controller comes in black instead of gray and features the same 4 directional pad buttons, 4 action buttons, 2 analog sticks, start and select buttons, and 4 shoulder buttons. New to the PS2 controller is an analog button, which is used for disabling the analog sticks in certain games. When turning on the console with the disc inserted, the console begins to load the game or movie directly. However, without a game disc inserted, the system boots to a menu. This menu contains 2 main options: a system browser for looking at memory card and disk files, and a configuration for changing system settings such as the time and date, language, and display settings. The PlayStation 2 went under many revisions throughout its lifespan. Sony made revisions to the original fat PS2, but most models were only available in Japan. Some of the changes they made included minor hardware improvements and port changes, but some included special color options for different regions. The first major design change came with the PlayStation 2 Slim model. This model was a whole lot smaller and thinner than the original PlayStation 2, and it even included a built-in Ethernet port. Due to its slim design, the power supply had to be external, and the PlayStation 2 expansion bay is not present. Sony also made improvements to the PS2 Slim throughout the duration of the console's lifespan. These included better backwards compatibility with PlayStation 1 games, internal hardware improvements, and a model that even made the Slim smaller and thinner than it already was. The PlayStation 2 has a special place in video game history. Throughout its lifespan, there were over 3,000 game titles released for the console, selling a total of 1.5 billion copies. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which is the most popular selling game on the system, sold 27.5 million copies alone. Even with the PlayStation 3 introduced in 2006, Sony still kept producing and improving the PlayStation 2, and developers kept making games for it. Finally, on January 4th, 2013, Sony officially announced that they would be discontinuing production of the PlayStation 2, a whole 13 years after the PlayStation 2's introduction. This is still, to this day, one of the longest lasting production runs for a video game console. Even after Sony's announcement that they were going to discontinue the console, a few developers continued to make games for the PS2. The last game to be released for the PlayStation 2 in North America was Pro Evolution Soccer 2014. While it may have had some minor launch setbacks and a few production issues throughout the years, the PlayStation 2 remains to this day the best-selling and one of the longest-lasting consoles in the history of video gaming. So, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the PlayStation 2. Whether you had fond childhood memories of playing the console, or if you just picked one up a few months ago, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.